Your soulmate is being targeted by their sister, because their sister actually wants to. My beloved child. Something deeply unsettling began unfolding long before anyone noticed the signs. The person your heart keeps returning to has been carrying a silent burden, and the most unexpected person is standing at the center of it. It isn't a stranger. It isn't an old rival. It's someone who has shared years of memories under the same roof. Their own sister has quietly begun changing the direction of every conversation, every decision, and every moment that should have brought peace. But why? That question has been growing louder with every passing hour. Don't skip. The answer isn't as simple as jealousy, and the truth behind her actions is far more complicated than anyone imagined. Your soulmate has sensed that something feels wrong, yet they cannot explain why every important step suddenly seems to meet invisible resistance. Meanwhile, one small clue appeared that nobody expected, and once you hear what it revealed, you'll understand why this story is only beginning. At first, everyone believed these moments were harmless coincidences. A cancelled meeting here. A misunderstood message there. A forgotten promise that somehow never reached your soulmate. But coincidence can only explain so much before it begins looking like a carefully arranged pattern. Their sister always seemed to arrive just before an important conversation could happen. She always had another explanation ready, another distraction, another emotional story that shifted everyone's attention away from what truly mattered. Then something unexpected happened. Someone close to the family quietly noticed that every delay somehow benefited only one person. That realization sent a wave of uneasy questions through everyone who witnessed it. Stay till the end, because the next discovery changed the entire meaning of everything that came before. Your soulmate still doesn't realize how many opportunities quietly disappeared while they were focused on trusting the people closest to them. But someone else has finally started connecting the pieces, and they are getting dangerously close to uncovering the reason behind this strange behavior. The biggest mystery isn't that the sister keeps interfering. The real mystery is what she believes she will gain if your soulmate never reaches the future they have been hoping for. She has hidden her true intentions behind concern, kindness, and carefully chosen words, making every action appear completely innocent. Yet the smallest mistake exposed something she never intended anyone to notice. During an ordinary conversation, she reacted far too strongly when your name unexpectedly came up. For just a brief second, the calm expression disappeared, replaced by a look that raised more questions than answers. Something huge is waiting for you, because the person who witnessed that moment decided not to stay silent anymore. They are preparing to reveal what they have quietly observed for weeks, and what they are about to say could completely change the way your soulmate sees their own family. The silence didn't last much longer. Within a day, the person who had been quietly watching everything finally gathered the courage to speak. They didn't begin with accusations or dramatic claims. Instead, they shared a series of small moments that seemed insignificant on their own but became impossible to ignore when placed together. Every important phone call somehow reached your soulmate late. Every conversation about the future was mysteriously interrupted. Every opportunity to move closer to you seemed to fade just before it became real. At first, your soulmate wanted to believe there had to be another explanation. After all, how could someone they had trusted for years be standing in the way? Yet as each forgotten detail resurfaced, an uncomfortable truth slowly began taking shape. Don't skip. The next realization shook them even more than the first. As those memories returned, your soulmate began noticing something they had overlooked countless times. Whenever they expressed excitement about you, their sister would subtly change the subject or introduce a new worry that immediately filled the room with doubt. If they spoke about reaching out, she encouraged them to wait a little longer. If they felt hopeful, she reminded them of old disappointments that had nothing to do with the present. None of it sounded controlling in the moment. It sounded protective, caring, reasonable. But viewed together, it created a wall that kept your soulmate trapped between fear and hesitation. Then another clue surfaced. An old message, believed to have been deleted long ago, unexpectedly reappeared. It wasn't what the message said that mattered most, it was when it had been sent. The timing raised a question nobody in the room could answer. Your soulmate could no longer ignore the growing pattern, but they still struggled to understand one thing. Why would their own sister work so hard to keep them from moving forward? Was she afraid of losing someone she had always depended on? Was she protecting a secret that had never been spoken aloud? Or was there another reason no one had even considered yet? Stay till the end, because the answer wasn't hidden in a dramatic confrontation. It was buried inside a conversation your soulmate accidentally overheard later that evening. Only a few words reached their ears, but those few words were enough to stop them in their tracks, because for the first time, they realized this had never been about simple family concern at all. A quiet conversation became the turning point no one expected. Your soulmate wasn't trying to listen, yet a few carefully spoken words drifted through the hallway at exactly the wrong moment. Their sister believed she was completely alone, speaking with someone she trusted. Her voice sounded calm, but there was urgency beneath every sentence. "Not yet," she whispered. "If everything changes now, I'll lose more than anyone realizes." Those words echoed in your soulmate's mind long after the conversation ended. Lose what? Lose whom? The questions multiplied faster than the answers. For the first time, they stopped dismissing the strange events as coincidence and began wondering whether every delay had been part of something much bigger. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next clue arrived from a place nobody expected. Later that evening, an old family friend reached out with unusual hesitation. They weren't calling to spread rumors or create conflict. They simply felt it was no longer right to stay silent. They explained that the sister had privately asked for advice several weeks earlier, not about protecting the family, but about keeping life exactly as it was. She feared that if your soulmate truly followed their heart, everything around her would change. Traditions would shift. Relationships would evolve. The comfortable balance she had always known might disappear forever. Suddenly, her actions looked different. They no longer appeared random or impulsive. They seemed driven by fear disguised as concern. Stay till the end, because your soulmate was finally beginning to see the difference between someone offering guidance and someone quietly steering every decision. That realization changed everything inside your soulmate. Instead of reacting with anger, they became unusually observant. They started paying attention to every conversation, every suggestion, every moment when doubt seemed to appear out of nowhere. And almost immediately, another pattern revealed itself. Whenever they made a choice on their own, they felt peaceful. Whenever they relied on their sister's advice, uncertainty somehow followed. That contrast was impossible to ignore. Then, just as they decided it was time to ask the difficult questions directly, an unexpected message appeared on their phone from an unknown number. It contained only one sentence. "Before you believe another word, there's something about your sister you were never meant to discover." The message refused to leave your soulmate's thoughts. There was no name attached to it, no explanation, no follow-up, only a single sentence that seemed impossible to ignore. At first, they considered deleting it, convincing themselves it was nothing more than an attempt to create confusion. But the timing felt too precise. It had arrived only moments after they decided to confront the situation. Whoever sent it seemed to know exactly what was happening behind the scenes. Curiosity slowly replaced hesitation. Your soulmate chose not to respond immediately. Instead, they waited, hoping another clue would appear. Don't skip. What happened next made the mystery even deeper. The following afternoon, something ordinary suddenly became extraordinary. While searching for an old family photograph, your soulmate came across a small notebook tucked away where almost no one would think to look. It wasn't filled with dramatic secrets or shocking confessions. It contained dates, reminders, and brief handwritten notes. Yet one page stood out from all the others. Beside a date connected to one of the most important moments in your relationship was a short sentence written in different ink: "Keep everything exactly as it is." Those 6 words seemed strangely familiar. They reflected the same fear the family friend had described. But why would someone feel so determined to prevent change? Stay till the end, because another unexpected piece of the puzzle was already on its way. That evening, the unknown number sent one final message before falling silent. This time, it wasn't a warning, it was a location. No explanation. No demand. Just a quiet place where someone claimed the full truth could finally be understood. Your soulmate stared at the screen, realizing that every answer they had been searching for might be waiting there, or it could be another carefully arranged distraction. They knew this decision would change everything. Walk away, and the mystery might remain forever. Go, and they could uncover the real reason their sister had been standing between them and the future they had been trying so hard to reach. As they took the first step toward that meeting, they had no idea someone was already waiting, and that person knew a secret capable of changing the entire story. Before dawn, your soulmate arrived at the location with more questions than confidence. It wasn't a dramatic place, just a quiet corner where conversations could remain unnoticed. For several long moments, no one appeared. Then a familiar figure slowly stepped forward. It wasn't a stranger at all, but someone who had known the family for years. Their expression carried neither anger nor excitement, only concern. "I didn't ask you to come here to turn you against your sister," they said softly. "I asked you to come because you've been missing one important piece of the story." Those words immediately changed the atmosphere. This wasn't about choosing sides anymore. It was about discovering the truth that had been hidden beneath years of silence. Don't skip. The next revelation explained why so many events had never made sense. The family friend carefully described something your soulmate had never considered. Years ago, their sister had quietly taken on responsibilities that no one else fully understood. She had become so accustomed to holding the family together that the idea of everything changing filled her with fear. Instead of expressing those fears honestly, she tried to control the future without realizing how much harm that control was causing. Every delayed conversation, every discouraging comment, every carefully timed interruption had come from one belief: if life stayed exactly the same, nothing precious could be lost. But fear has a way of creating the very outcome it hopes to prevent. Hearing this, your soulmate felt torn between compassion and disappointment. They could finally understand the emotions behind the actions, but understanding didn't erase the consequences. Stay till the end, because one final detail remained untold. Just as the conversation was ending, the family friend handed your soulmate a sealed envelope. "This was never meant for me," they admitted. "It was supposed to reach you months ago." The envelope had no sender's name, only your soulmate's handwriting on the front from years earlier, as if it had somehow circled back through time. Their hands trembled as they slowly opened it. Inside was a single folded page, and beneath it rested a small photograph that immediately stole their breath. The picture revealed something about the past that contradicted everything they had believed until now. As they turned the page to begin reading the first line, one impossible realization struck them: someone had been protecting a secret from the very beginning, and it wasn't the person they had suspected. The photograph felt strangely familiar, yet your soulmate couldn't explain why. They looked at it again and again, noticing details they had overlooked in the first glance. There, standing in the background, was someone whose presence had never been mentioned whenever family stories were told. It wasn't the image itself that caused their heart to race, it was the expression on their sister's face. She wasn't smiling with confidence or satisfaction. She looked worried, almost frightened, as though she already knew something difficult was about to happen. The folded letter only deepened the mystery. Its opening line read, "If you're reading this, it means the truth has taken longer to find you than I ever expected." Every word pulled your soulmate further into a story they never realized had been unfolding for years. Don't skip. The next page changed everything they thought they understood. As they continued reading, the letter described a promise made long ago between several members of the family. It wasn't a promise to hide betrayal or deceive anyone. It was a promise to shield someone from a painful misunderstanding until the right time arrived. But over the years, that promise had become tangled with fear, silence, and assumptions. Instead of bringing clarity, it created distance. Instead of protecting hearts, it quietly pushed people apart. Your soulmate suddenly remembered moments from the past that had once seemed meaningless: a cancelled celebration, an unfinished conversation, a look exchanged across the room that lasted only a second. Those memories now fit together like scattered pieces of a puzzle. Stay till the end, because one question still remained unanswered: who had written the letter, and why had it been hidden for so long? Just as your soulmate reached the final paragraph, their phone vibrated once more. This time, the message came from a familiar contact, their sister. It was surprisingly brief: "Please don't decide what you think of me until we talk tonight." There were no excuses, no explanations, only a sincere request. At that exact moment, another notification appeared beneath it from the unknown number. She is finally ready to tell you what she could never say before. Your soulmate stared at both messages, realizing that the answers they had been chasing were no longer hidden in old photographs or forgotten letters. They were waiting inside one conversation that had been delayed for far too long. But what their sister was about to confess could either heal years of silence, or reveal one final truth that no one was prepared to hear. Night arrived with an unusual stillness. Your soulmate had imagined this conversation countless times, yet none of those imagined versions prepared them for what they actually saw. Their sister wasn't defensive. She wasn't angry. She looked exhausted, as though she had been carrying the same invisible weight for years. Before your soulmate could ask a single question, she quietly placed a small wooden box on the table and said, "Everything you've been searching for begins here." Her voice trembled, not with fear of being exposed, but with relief that she no longer had to hide behind carefully chosen words. "Something huge is waiting for you, because what rested inside that box wasn't valuable for its price, it was valuable for the truth it had protected." When the lid was lifted, your soulmate found old notes, faded photographs, and several unopened envelopes tied together with a ribbon that had clearly aged over time. Each item told part of a story no one had ever shared completely. Their sister admitted she had made countless mistakes trying to keep the family from falling apart. She believed that if your soulmate moved too quickly toward a new future, old wounds inside the family would reopen. Instead of speaking honestly about those fears, she quietly interfered, convincing herself she was buying time until everything could be fixed. But every delay only created more confusion. Every attempt to control the future slowly damaged the trust she had hoped to protect. Hearing those words, your soulmate finally understood that fear can sometimes disguise itself as love, making even good intentions lead to painful consequences. Stay till the end, because one final secret still remained locked away. Then their sister reached into the bottom of the box and removed one last envelope that had never been opened. Across the front, written in careful handwriting, were just a few words: "Give this to them when the truth is finally safe." She looked directly at your soulmate and whispered, "I was never brave enough to open it." The room fell completely silent. Your soulmate slowly unfolded the letter, expecting another explanation from the past. Instead, the very first sentence mentioned you by name. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the last as they continued reading, realizing this wasn't a message about family history at all. It was a message written long ago about the future, and what it predicted about the moment when your paths would finally cross.